Recently jumped onto the sim racing bandwagon and are struggling to get your footing? Or do you simply want some tips to improve your lap times? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I have compiled my top tips to dramatically reduce your lap times if you don't use them already. Before I go through all the tips, I'm going to do a lap of my own. It's not going to be a perfect lap, but that's the point. See how many mistakes you can find versus how many I can find. Now that we have gone over my lap, let's jump right into the individual tips. So first, I'm going to be starting with the racing line. This is probably the most basic technique, and every single driver should know a good racing line. The structure of the racing line is to start on the outside of the track, turn in and hit the center of the corner, also known as the apex. By the time you hit that apex, you generally want to be accelerating again back onto the outside of the track. The track is there for a reason, and you need to make sure you use all of it for the smoothest and most efficient results. You always want to be entering a corner from the outside, and you should end back up on the outside as well. There is an exception to this rule, however. If the upcoming corner is followed straight after another corner in an S position, such as T1 at Monza, you need to adapt your racing line so that you get the maximum exit speed out of the second turn rather than the first. What I mean by that is you want to enter the first corner normally, but instead of ending back up on the outside, you want to keep to the inside so that you are setting yourself up for an optimal exit on the next corner. This is backed up by the basic rule of thumb, slow in, fast out. The exit of your corner is the most important, and you need to sacrifice entry speed in order to get the best racing line through the corner and accelerate out of it as efficiently as possible. In addition, a common mistake I see beginners do is turn in way too late. In doing this, you are going to miss your apex and get a much slower exit. This can also induce oversteer if you jerk the wheel too quickly to one side in an effort to make the corner. So remember, be smooth and turn in early. Following on from my previous tip, always be smooth. Jerking the wheel and making quick, fast motions is never good, as you are causing the weight to transfer way too quickly and thus inducing oversteer, which will result in you spinning out. Being smooth will let the weight flow and you will be quicker and more consistent. Now I'm going to be moving on to optimizing your usage. As with your wheel, you want to be smooth with your brake and throttle as well. This is again because you don't want the weight to transfer too quickly, unsettling the car. For braking, the most effective technique is trail braking. This is where you stamp on the brakes to 100% and then slowly ease off of them as you turn in. Remember, come off the brake slowly and smoothly, otherwise you may not make the corner. And when getting on the throttle, accelerate slowly so that your car does not spin out. The next thing I want to touch on is which point of the track you are looking at. This is crucial. You want to be looking 2 to 3 seconds ahead of your car. For example, here I would be looking at my apex, and as I come onto my apex, I need to be looking at my exit. If you look at footage of Formula 1 drivers with eye tracking, you will see that they are looking incredibly far out. The reason that this is important is because you need to be able to see what's coming and have time to register and process that information. You do not want to be making decisions in a split second if you can help it, because that can lead to mistakes and ruin your race. You also will be far more consistent if you improve your vision. An extra tip that is usually overlooked is to have a correct FOV. There are plenty of FOV calculators for the sim you are running, where you input your screen size, distance from screen, etc. The reason correct FOV is so important is because you need everything outside your virtual car to be in proportion. This will help you judge distance from corners for optimal braking points, and it will help with calculating distances between nearby cars, which is really important for wheel-to-wheel racing. Another tip is to try and keep your car on the limit. This is where a high quality force feedback wheel will come into play. Keeping your car on the limit means keeping it right on the edge of traction and pushing it as hard as you can. I don't recommend doing this if you are just starting out, but if you are really pushing for lap time, you need to keep your car on the limit to ensure the most speed is being carried through the corner. The last thing that I want to go over, and I mentioned this in the racing line section, but use all the track. And when I say all the track, I mean all the track, curbs and all. Do not be afraid of getting a penalty, because as long as you are keeping 2 wheels on the track, it will be legal anywhere. The sharper you turn in, the more your speed will decrease, and therefore you want to use all the track so that you have the widest line and making sure you are turning in as less as possible. Something to keep in mind is that light cars such as F1 cars or open wheelers will get very unsettled if you try and run them over high curbs. So try and stick to the low curbs or rumble strips with light cars. Heavier cars are much less susceptible to this, but still you should be aware of that. That's all I've got for today. If you don't do these already, I guarantee that with a bit of practice and incorporation of these techniques, your lap time will plummet. Thanks for watching, like the video if you liked it, and a sub would be appreciated.